What you just witnessed in that clip was a good example of texting and driving. The boy was very late for school and his buddy needed a ride. The boy rushes to get ready and hops in his car. As he rushes to his friend's house, he tried replying to his friend's text, and right as he looks up, he hits the crossing pedestrian. Think twice before you text and drive, because you could be taking someone else's life or even your own at any given moment.
I just remember sitting at home thinking to myself, I have no one. My friends were there for me at first, but after a while, they weren't.
I looked up on her Facebook page, and she said on there, "Can anybody please hang out with me today? I don't have any friends."
Before the car accident, the things I did in high school with my friends were, just go to the high school games and everything. Every weekend go to a party, go bowling. I was a good student. I was a role model. I was like a popular girl in high school, so I used to model.
My main worry for Liz as a parent before she started driving was the typical teenage things, the drugs and the alcohol and, being safe and hanging around the right kind of kids and keeping her grades up. I did not think that Liz was connected to her mobile phone. I didn't realize that she loved her phone as much as she did.
I used my cell phone every second, every minute, every hour. If I didn't have it, I would freak out because I couldn't connect with my friends. I couldn't connect with anyone. Couldn't connect with social media or anything. If I didn't have my cell phone, I felt lonely.
I would ask her all the time, "Liz, do you text and drive?" And she said, "No, Mom, I swear I don't. Don't worry, I don't use my phone when I'm behind the wheel."
I ignored these warnings about texting while driving because everyone else was doing it, so I thought it was okay. I thought I was invincible, but clearly, I was completely wrong. The consequences of my life now after the car accident is the fact that I'm blind in one eye now. I cannot smell. I cannot hear that very good because a bone broke in half and covered my eardrum. I can't create tears because both my tear ducts got damaged, and I can't put my body to sleep naturally. I take medicine and go to sleep. The hardest part about my life after the car accident was the fact that I was alone. Everyone was away at college. I wasn't. I couldn't drive. I couldn't go to college. My friends were there for me at first, but after a while, they weren't. They got tired of me. They got tired of all my problems.
40% of all teen drivers admit to text messaging while driving, and some of the teenagers don't own up to their habits of texting and driving. 51% admit to talking on the phone while driving, but in most cases, the teens are lying in their answers. This is meaning that most of the teens text and drive throughout their day.
Over 50 years. And when I tell you today and make the claim that using your phone while you're driving in any manner, hands-free, touching it, texting, just talking, is at best equivalent to driving drunk, I'm not saying it based upon a few studies. I'm saying it based upon numerous studies and numerous methodologies that we've been using over 50 years. Two of the best studies that I think really illustrate how much of a problem this is are what are called epidemiological studies. They're studies where people were actually in crashes. In one case, the crashes led to a visit to the emergency room. In another case, it did not. The crashes were in different countries. These studies were done by different researchers. But the bottom line is, across both studies, they found exactly the same thing. You are 4 times or more likely to be in a crash if you're using a phone in any manner. It doesn't matter in this study if the phone was being used handheld or hands-free. People were more likely to be in a crash, in fact, than a drunk driver is likely to be in a crash. And again, keep in mind, these are 2 studies done by 2 different groups of people at different points in time with actual crash victims. Now, speaking of drunk driving, if, like my friend Dave Strayer, you had a driving simulator in your laboratory and you brought people in at the University of Utah and got them drunk, and when I used to talk about this, I used to say they're on the Utah campus, so they're only a little drunk, and I gave a talk there last year, and Dave raised his hand and said, no, they were really drunk. And I said, okay. So if you were to bring people in and get them really drunk and then have them drive in your driving simulator, and then bring them back and have them drive sober. And while they're driving, you give them some events they'd have to react to, like a suddenly stopping car. You would find that people drive better when they're drunk. Think about that for a second. People drive better when they're drunk. The drunk drivers knew that they were impaired and knew that they were being watched. And so what they made sure to do is try to be as vigilant as possible. And when cars stopped in front of them, they were slower, but they tended to crush the brake pedal in response in order to stop. The drivers, those same drivers, when they came back and they were talking hands-free on a phone to someone that wasn't in that vehicle with them, drove through 4 vehicles without even noticing it. And when they were asked afterwards, how did you drive? They said, oh, much better when I was drunk. What about that car you drove through? No recollection whatsoever of that event. But your brain doesn't have enough resources to go around to do both things at the same time. And the real-world implication of this is incredibly scary. I want you to imagine that you have a child playing on a sidewalk in an area like right here in Kansas City, maybe a grandchild or a son or a daughter or a sibling. What you would want for a driver driving down your residential neighborhood is that they would scan on the right side of the road for your kid playing on the sidewalk, or maybe a car getting ready to back out into the intersection. You'd want them to scan on the left to make sure that there were no sudden events like cars running in front of them at unexpected times. And like my grandmother taught me to drive, you would want them scanning the environment as far ahead, not just the car in front of them, but as many cars away as they could see. And what you're seeing here is the eye movement patterns of someone doing just that. That larger box, because those little dots there are eye trackers, so we can see where people are looking. That larger box is where an attentive driver is scanning for hazards, where your kid's playing, where cars might be stopping, where someone might come across the intersection unexpectedly.
You violate 3 things while you text and drive, them being you visually take your eyes off the road. Manually, you take your hands off the wheel. Also, you lose thought of the road when you text and drive. Only 39 states ban all cell phone use by novice drivers, and 20 states prohibit it for school bus drivers. There are still states out there that allow you to text and drive on the road. In most states, a ticket for texting and driving is under $100, and is the reason why people overlook this problem of texting and driving. I know that some people might be busy in their car and need to tend to their phone for business reasons, but it can wait because driving comes with responsibility, and if it's that important, then you should pull over and respond to the text or call, because nothing is more important than your safety. To fix or prevent texting and driving, if you see someone doing it, then honk, or even if they're in your car, you could ask them to text for them to release the dangers from them and allow them to focus on the road, which they're supposed to do. Being on your cellular device while driving is a big issue that we are dealing with every day. So when you are driving, put your phone down. It is not worth your life.